What's your best childhood memory? Why? Watching my stepdad call the principal of my school in 4th grade out on his bullshit right in front of me. Because it was the first time I had a father figure in my life who cared enough about me to stand up for me. Remember what he called out? My principal kept making BS claims that my mom wasn't properly taking care of me. Clean clothes etc. My mom is a neat freak, so I had clean clothes etc 100% of the time and I never had issues about going hungry or anything of the sort. To this day I cannot understand where the claims were coming from. But they stopped after my stepdad called him a twat who doesn't do his job properly, who needs to get his head checked. There was one day in the summer of 2003 when me and all the neighborhood kids just hung around outside. We flew kites, played sports, got ice cream from a truck, etc. We spent the whole day outside doing fun stuff. I remember going to bed thinking that it was a perfect day. I still think about it sometimes. I'll always miss the general feeling of summer growing up. It felt like it would never end. Just days on end of waking up, having breakfast, then playing video games, heading over to a friend's house to swim, riding bikes, playing baseball in the street, barbecues, road trips, etc. Growing up I didn't realize how poor we were. My parents were amazing at providing for us. We loved watching baseball games and I wanted to go to a game so bad. We never couldn't afford it. To make up for it, while we were at school, my mom made up tickets to that night's game and money for us to spend. When we got home she had set up chairs in front of the TV and numbered them, gave us the tickets and money, and told us to go clean up before the game. Come game time we lined up at the doorway. My dad took our tickets and told us how to get to our seats. After the game started my parents went to the kitchen and had a tray of hot dogs, candy, and soda. Hot dogs? Get your hot dogs. We got out the money my mom made and bought whatever snacks we wanted. Best baseball game I've ever been to. My stepfather designed theater sets and installed a jungle design in my room. After the play was over, I work in theater. I'm backstage right now, and this really made me smile. The reason we do this is to create that moment of wonder and join others. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Creative minds like yours made my childhood. He used many set props like the huge Wizard of Oz mask he made. We used for Halloween. Built me a dollhouse out of cardboard with real electricity and everything. He gave me such an appreciation for fine arts and I even thank him for making me work on his sets growing up. Take care and hope you have success with your play. I was maybe 5 or 6 and I woke up in the middle of the night to use the restroom. It was that perfect time where everything is quiet and dark and it just feels so still. When I walked through the living room my grandfather was sitting in his chair at the table, drinking whiskey and eating buttered saltines. He invited me to sit with him and have a snack, which felt amazing to me since individual time with him was extremely rare. The room was lit only by the warm glow of the night light from the kitchen. I don't remember if we talked except for when he told me I'd better be back off to bed, but I remember how it felt. I remember his presence. How big his silhouette looked, sitting across from me. How calm and soothing it was just to be there. It's that kind of memory that just wraps itself around you and envelops you in warmth. It's one of those moments where everything falls away and nothing else exists. Just dark, quiet, and some buttered crackers. He died of cancer not long after that, and that's one of the only memories I have of him. Not fucking thinking about tomorrow. Just woke up. Hooked up with friends, spent all day playing stupid games, laughing, fighting, discovering. Nowadays if I have half a day to myself I think about how I can use it to do something work related, so that I can take it easier on the working days. Family vacation to Colorado to ski. They piled all the grandkids, me and 7 of my cousins, in the back of the van, and removed the bench seats, replaced them with air mattresses. They hooked up a TV and VHS player and we all watched the original Scream movie while eating road trip snacks and annoying the life out of our grandparents. We stopped the moment we got to where there was snow to have a giant family snowball fight. We took pictures the whole ride on disposable cameras. I think my older cousins mooned a few unsuspecting strangers 18 hours there and 18 hours back, and the ride was just as good as the actual vacation. Having lunch and getting ice cream with my mum and dad when I was 9 in London. My school had organized a school trip and gave me special permission to see my dad instead of going to the science museum. We rejoined them later to go see cats. Dad works away from home. Back then, we didn't see him often, maybe a couple times a month, if we were lucky. We all got lunch in near Portobello Road and then went to get the ice creams. My dad got a particularly huge one. To my mind, it was like 7 scoops. Everything seems massive when you're a kid, and it all fell onto his tie. We laughed, talked about music and their lives in London before marriage/kids. We walked down the street, holding hands, me in the middle. I know it's such a non-event memory. I'm the youngest of 3 and this was the first, and possibly last time, I spent alone time with my parents. Just us 3, like I was their only kid. It made me feel special. I cherish this memory so much. My parents' house had a huge prairie field beyond its backyard. There was a lot of wildlife, giant ponds, and tiny forests scattered throughout a giant plain. As an introverted child, I remember going on so many adventures here until the sun came down. One particular moment that sticks with me was sitting on my fence, overlooking the fields watching the sunset with my dog after a long day of playing. It's not a particularly eventful moment, but I remember thinking, that moment was perfect. As a kid that grew up reading Calvin and Hobbes, I feel so fortunate I got to grow up in the area I did. It was like I was living the life of my favorite comic. Let's go exploring. When I was 10 years old, my parents made help out back to clear out the weeds that had taken over our backyard. It was going to take a while because how crazy it was, but I was taking even longer to help because I was so distracted by the cute puppy our next door neighbor had. I found out that his parents were going to take him back to the shelter because their son wasn't taking good care of him like he promised. They offered to sell him to me for $20 and I had that saved up, so I went back and forth begging my parents if we could get him. They finally caved and he became our. I named him Snoopy and have never been as happy as I was that day. I was an only child, so I looked so much forward to having a dog to play with and go on adventures with. It's definitely my favorite memory because he meant too much to me in the almost 17 years he was a part of my life. The first time my mum was properly happy with her new partner, she had gone through a painful divorce after my dad cheated on her twice and taken some of her most precious belongings. She had barely been able to get custody of me after that. She dated a sweet man who promptly died in a car accident while they were dating, and then ended up with a very abusive boyfriend. However, now she is with the man of her dreams and the happiest she has ever been, and because of him, I've had a real childhood and a proper family. Me and my brother sitting inside on a cool summer day with the windows open, the smell of freshly cut grass in our noses. Our parents would be doing yard work out in our rather large yard. My older brother would play Mario and all sorts of Lego games on the Wii, and I would just watch because 1, he rarely let me play, and 2, I was terrible at all of the games. But it grew on me. I came to enjoy not playing. I sat there watching, he sat there playing, for hours on end. We would eat popsicles like nobody's business. Tall glasses of lemonade would go down like rocks. And we loved it, but as time went on, we sold the house, we lost interest in the Wii, and our parents got divorced. There are many, but just last night my husband said something that unlocked this one. My dad was, still is, an avid birder. He would teach me little things about birds and how to identify them by sight and call. We had a little ritual every night after dinner. We would walk outside in the darkness all the way to the barn and back, hooting like owls to try and get the owls to hoot back at us. Sometimes it worked, most of the time it didn't, but every time I got to spend moments with my dad that still make me so happy to think about today. Probably when I was still on that phase where I was oblivious to the world's or even family problems. We used to be on food stamps and my parents would get us these TV dinners from a neighbor and I loved them and thought they were the best. My mom never made us feel like we were missing out, and it helped me also become grateful for everything in life. Thanksgiving holiday of like 4th grade. I was playing Minecraft online with my friend, which was already nice, but I noticed that it was snowing outside. In SC, snow pretty much never comes that early, so I got up from the computer with the phone and went outside. I told my friend about it, and he also went outside at his own house and we just stood there in the snow. There's nothing that particularly stands out about that experience other than just a general atmosphere of niceness, so I don't know why it stuck with me for so long, but I like that one a lot.